Hi everyone. I just wanted to take a moment to talk to us about how we prophesy over strangers. The truth is that the prophetic gift is for all of us. We all get to hear God's voice because we're all his sons and daughters, which means that we all get to prophesy. We're all able to hear God's voice for other people. And the truth is that the prophetic gift is a brilliant gift both for Christians but also for those who don't yet know Jesus. And there's something really special about having a word of knowledge for someone or prophesying over someone who doesn't know Jesus. And when you hear accurately, it's just such a privilege to see them realise that God is real and that he knows them and that he's pursuing them and wants a relationship with them. But how do we do it? How do we approach people who we don't know and start a conversation with them to then offer to prophesy over them? Well, I'm by no means an expert, but I just wanted to share a few top tips with you. And what I'm learning about myself is that I'm finding it much more easy and natural to prophesy over people when I've had a bit of time with them. So, for example, you might have seen a post recently from me about having a pedicure, and that I got to prophesy over the lady who did it for me at the end of the pedicure. Well, I'd been with her for an hour by that point, and as she was doing the pedicure, I was thinking to myself, this is a great opportunity for me to hear God for her. And so I was just asking God for some stuff for her, and I was praying for her. And at the end of our time together, I just simply said, look, this might sound a bit weird. Before I go, I'm a Christian and I've just been praying for you to ask God to bless you. And I just wondered if I could share something that he said to me. Sometimes God speaks to me and it's always to encourage people. And I feel like he's given me some stuff for you. Could I share it? And she was totally blown away. When I said to her, I've been praying for you, she was like, why? She just couldn't believe it. And she was up for me sharing what I felt like God had said. So I shared it then with her and prophesied over her and asked her if it made any sense. And she was really encouraged. So that's been a way that I'm using more recently. And it's just been a really great conversation opener for me. But as I said, I'm finding it much more natural and easy when I've got a bit of time with someone rather than spotting someone walking on the street and thinking, I need to dive in now and prophesy. Some people will find it the other way around. Some people love that on the spot, I'm going to go for it and see what God says. So you've got to find what's most natural for you. Another thing I've tried in the past is I've gone up to people who I feel like God's spoken to me for, and I've just said to them, look, this might sound a little bit weird, but I'm a Christian and I believe God speaks to me and I'm practicing to hear his voice for other people. And I spotted you and I feel like God has picked you out because he wants to bless and encourage you. Can I practice hearing from God for you? Can I share what I feel like God said? And very often people are really open to hearing. And the fact that you're saying you're practicing gives you that get out if you've heard completely wrong. But also, so it takes the pressure off, but also it gives you an opportunity to speak to someone and open up a conversation with them. So there's a couple of things I've tried, and both of them work pretty well. So what do you do if you share what you've got and it's totally wrong? Well, when I first started doing this stuff, I think when I prophesied or had a go at prophesying and it was completely wrong, I think I just used to shut the conversation down and thought, well, that's it. Sorry to bother you. I've messed up. Have a great day. Be blessed. As I've practiced more, I've got a bit more chilled out, I suppose. And so I have often shared words of knowledge with people that are completely wrong and prophetic stuff that doesn't make any sense to them. Now what I try to do is I say something like, oh man, well, I'm just practicing hearing from God. I must have got that wrong. But I think he still picked you out because my attention was drawn to you. Is there anything at all that I can pray for you about at the moment? So if I brought a word of knowledge for healing and I got it completely wrong, I might say, is there anything that you need prayer for in terms of healing for your body? Because God has clearly picked you out and he wants to bless you. And so rather than thinking, oh, that's it, I'm done, I've messed up, I'll try and still use it as an opportunity to offer to pray for the person and to bless them. Then on the flip side, what about if you get it bang on? What about if you get a word of knowledge and a prophetic word and it's completely accurate? Well, I just would encourage you to be led by the Holy Spirit in that moment. Sometimes you feel like you've prophesied and that's that and you're done and that's all that God wanted you to do. But at other times you can ask more questions. So a great question to ask someone is, what do you make of what's just happened? What do you make of the fact that God knows you that clearly? You know, if you've brought a word of knowledge for healing and they've been healed, you can say to them, what do you make of the fact that God's just healed you? And most often people have no frame of reference for it. And again, you can just be led by the Spirit in asking questions. You know, you could say, have you ever thought about Jesus before? Have you ever been to church before? Have you got like a history with Jesus? Do you want to know him? You know, you could offer to pray. If you've prophesied over someone and it's really accurate, you could offer to pray for them. Just say, can I just pray that God reveals himself to you? And you can just be led by the Holy Spirit to see if there's an opportunity for you to share the gospel. And indeed, if they're open to give their lives to Jesus, then to be able to lead them through that. So I hope that helps. As I said, this has become much more natural for me the more I've practiced. Certainly when I first started trying to prophesy over strangers, it was very clunky and awkward, and it's much less so now. So I just want to encourage you to maybe take a couple of the tips I've just shared and give it a go this week. Just be asking God who he wants to speak to, and try and find your most natural way of prophesying over people. The truth is that you hear God's voice and you are called to do this. God has gifted you to prophesy over others because he wants you to encourage them and build them up. So give it a go, and do share your stories in the comments below this video so that we can all be encouraged together.